I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Who are you?
So Matt, once again, welcome back to another review. There's another paid request, and for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, feel free to send them either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. It may take a while because I'm getting some requests and going to do the best that I can though. But this is for the 1971 film Straw Dogs, which I've seen the remake. The remake really wasn't much to speak of. I've seen this film before, and I remember going, and even watch it again, it's like, So less negative, but just, this is not a film that I love. I get it. I respect what it was doing. Sam Peckinpah, director of The Wild Bunch, and showcased a bit of his violent side, especially in the third act. Dustin Hoffman playing a guy who was a pretty meek, at times cowardly guy. Math teacher, got the glasses going on. Him and his new gal, Susan George, they've moved back to South England, to her home village, to start a new life. And things seem okay, but pretty much Dustin Hoffman is trying to fit in. He's not really successful at that. The locals look down on him. They're like, how could a weakling like this deal with this girl, Susan George? Even the people at the church, since Dustin Hoffman doesn't really want anything to do with them. And again, the locals, they don't respect him. And then even his new gal starts not respecting him. Oh, well, you just left because you were a coward because there's political stuff on the campus. And, why don't you have time for me? You're too busy with your work and your blackboard. I'll leave you alone with your blackboard. While the locals, some of them used to know Susan George from back in the day. They're like stealing her panties, or they fucking hang their cat in a fucking closet. And this is a film that, it's almost hard to root for anybody. You just root for Dustin Hoffman because he's the least polarizing figure in the film. But even to a point, which again is the point of the film, is that, like, come on, man up, man. But like, of all the characters, he's the one that you could kind of get towards, even though you kind of agree with people that he's a bit of a bitch, he's a bit of a coward. But it's kind of a movie where by the end he does man up, he defends his home. I would not allow violence against this house. And he finally mans up. It's just that it's supposed to be that arc, thus showcasing that he's a bit of a pussy before that. Because again, if someone hung your cat in a fucking closet, well, maybe it was someone who just came around. And even the wife is like, what the fuck do you mean someone that just came around? These guys are always here. They're not doing their jobs. Why don't you do something? Why don't you say something? And the movie itself, based on the first 2/3 of the film, I never would have thought Sam Peckinpah directed it, because there's really not much in terms of editing, in terms of direction, that really was striking to me until the third act. And I thought the third act is really where the film came alive for me. And without the third act, I would say this is a kind of a weak, meh movie. That there's been other films since then that have done the meat character that rises up to the challenge, discovers his courage, decides to fight back, whether it be revenge movies, whether it be, hell, the Hills of Eyes remake, which also has a guy with glasses and a bit of it's broken. And I would say the Hills of Eyes remake for me is more successful in that venture than Straw Dogs. I'm sorry, that's just my opinion. I thought it hit the emotional chords a bit better for me, and the impact of the action, the violence a bit more for me. And I didn't feel the character was that much of a pussy to begin with compared to Dustin Hoffman. But again, that's the whole point of the film. I'm not blaming the movie too much for that. And Dustin Hoffman does a good job playing the meat guy, and his eyes will kind of twirl a bit faster than usual, and kind of that meat. Meat is the best word to describe the character. I think he does a fairly decent job by the end, when he finally was going to man up, and he's like, no, I'm going to defend my house. Kind of like a more adult version of Home Alone, which was a much later film. Susan George, her character, what they do with her. Spoiler alert. I mean, it's a film from 1971, so yes, spoilers. There's a point where she gets raped. Now, I would say with the rape scene, it's not done in the vein of I Spit on Your Grave, where it's 15 fucking minutes long. I'm one of those type of guys, I don't like rape scenes in movies, which I know is stupid and hypocritical, because I can watch someone get shot in the face, or a John Wick film where people get shot 18 times, so shooting people is fine, but I don't know what it is. It's supposed to be uncomfortable. That's the whole fucking point. It'd be weird if it wasn't uncomfortable. So it's hard to justify why I'm against it, when, again, there's many other forms of violence showcased in the film. It's just, I know it's disgusting. I know it's horrible. I hate seeing it. Even movie-wise, I'm watching, I'm going, okay, fast forward. That's how I usually do it. I didn't fast forward because it's a request for a review. But I don't know how else to word it. And apparently even my camera, which is freaking out, and I don't know, for some reason going in slow motion, even it doesn't know. Which is weird, because I don't have anything in the background. So I don't know why it's doing that. It's like even the camera is fucking freezing. Why is it going slow motion, camera? There's not even an HD, which is why I don't shoot in HD, because if I did, every video would be... It just maybe because it's a laptop, and just doesn't like doing it with laptop. I don't know. Maybe it's doing some stupid update. Can you get back to the review? Yeah, I apologize. But yeah, apparently the camera didn't like me talking about it either. So yeah, I'm not alone apparently. The webcam didn't like me talking about the R word. If I don't say it, will you not? Okay, camera, I didn't say the words, so it's not messing up. Was some kind of damn feed in the webcam that if you say the word... So if you didn't hear me for a minute or so, yes, there are scenes concerning forced assault on a woman in a sexual manner. And then it does this thing where she actually starts liking it. She starts enjoying it. Because this is a guy she knew back in the day, and I guess she wants a man. This guy's a manly man and is taking her, and she starts loving it. And then another guy doesn't, and she doesn't love that so much. And then I get the idea to make it a bit more interesting that this girl kind of likes her rapist attacker because they I said the word again. She likes her attacker because she knew him back in the day, and it sounds bad, but the way she behaves afterward makes me not like her as a character. Which I know is unfair because the character went through all this, but just, even before then, granted, agreeing with her that Dustin Hoffman's character is being a wimp, she just seemed even more of a bitch, in my opinion. Just a very bitchy lady. To the point I'm going, why the fuck did you two even get married in the first place? It boggles my mind that you two got married in the fucking first place. Why did you two get married in the first place? I don't get it. Then you have this subplot with David Warner, who's been in quite a few films. I mean, he was in Waxwork. He was in... What was that? Was it Somewhere in Time, or was it... No, I think, was it the Malcolm McDowell film? Yeah, it's funny. I know David Warner's been in a bunch of stuff, but yeah, I'm naming so many movies. I can't help it. I'm brain dead right now. David Warner's a good actor. I forgot that he was in this in an early role. And he plays a guy who's not mentally there. One at least another, he's with a girl, he panics, accidentally choked her. In the spoilers, Dustin Hoffman, the girl going home, accidentally hit him, brings him to their house. The crowd wants him, and Dustin Hoffman's not knowing what this guy's done. Says, I'm going to protect this guy, I'm going to wait for a cop, I'm going to wait for a doctor. Oh, he turned her to fly. Which brings this weird predicament where we know that he's wrong, but Dustin Hoffman, he doesn't know. So in a way, he's protecting a guy who, granted it was an accident, he's not all there mentally, but did murder someone against people who are also ultimately murderers. So it's this weird predicament that, maybe that's the point of the film, to make me not sure how to feel about the situation. Maybe because all this confusion, there's always a part of me, not always, I just rewatched the film right now and I haven't seen the film in like 10, 15 years. Trying to figure like what Sam Peckinpah is really trying to go with theme-wise. Because it does seem like at the end of the day, this is about a man who does finally forego the intellectual, man up, so to speak, a rite of passage of violence, and to the point even grabbing his woman, who's like, I don't care about this guy, I don't care if they beat him to death, and then Dustin Hoffman's looking at her and going, you really don't care, do you? Like he's realizing for the first time the fucked up person he married. Because she's like, no, I'm not going to help you with this situation, I'm not going to turn on the lights, no, he even goes, fine, leave. And she tries to leave, and he grabs her and fucking slaps her and goes, no, you're staying here, you don't do as you're told, or I'm going to break your neck. And then she starts listening. So yeah, I don't know, feminists will have a fucking field day with this movie. Their heads would explode, Scanner style. And that's what I mean, like, the direction-wise, that's when Sam Peckinpah really comes into play. And that seems to be his major strengths, is in directing action. Like, before John Woo and this other stuff, Sam Peckinpah was a guy who directed action in sort of a stylish manner. Certain ways of edits. And you see Dustin Hoffman taking these guys out one by one. Making a guy shoot his own foot off. Attacking and killing someone with a fire poker. You get these nice editing pieces. People trying to shoot, he puts the table up. The editing that you would see in certain, the Wild Bunch, other Sam Peckinpah features, where you get this rapid editing, rapid but not confusing, not milliseconds like they do a lot of days, even 5-10 years ago with Taken 2, Taken 3, and sadly some films of today. This rapid fire, boom, back to Dustin Hoffman, boom, back to Dustin Hoffman, kind of try and get that tension back and forth, as if you're the viewer going back and forth as the situation and these two mano a mano forces going at each other. It's like a certain momentum that Sam Peckinpah keeps and keeps elevating. And while no, this is not the best movie dealing with a siege, far from it. John Carpenter's A Soul in Prison 13, mentioned the Hills of Eyes remake, and others. Sam Peckinpah's direction, as well as Dustin Hoffman's character and his performance, finally manning up, so to speak. And some of the things Susan George says, it's like, yeah, I know, honey. And I'm just trying to deal with the situation, not be like, yeah, I don't know what to do, but just trying to think this through and finally becoming a person that you, even when he's grabbing the woman in a weird way, I'm like, good. Which is not a good thing to say, but in a weird way, it's like, good, slap the bitch. I mean, it's to the point that she wants to leave with the murderers and rapists who raped her. And these are in a point where she kind of hesitates. Do I want to save Dustin Hoffman or this other guy? And it's funny, I read up that apparently someone on Home Alone, when they were talking about all the traps and stuff, said, well, we want to do straw dogs for kids. I never thought about it that way, but I'm like, oh, okay, so in here you got like a bear trap and the hot water. It's not water, I think it's alcohol to burn people with. I didn't make a guy shoot his own foot. I said, very nice editing. Like when something's on fire, it's editing back and forth as the different pieces on fire and trying to put it out. Again, it's quick, but it's not confusing. And like I said, it's the third act that kind of made me go, okay, I don't hate the film. I don't love the film. I do think it takes a bit slow for it to get going. I don't think the first half, other than not minding Dustin Hoffman's performance, it's not bad. It's just meh. Like, there's really not much for me to talk about. Kind of that the locals don't like him. He's being a coward. They don't like him. He's being a coward. Things are elevating. That's the point. Again, the whole forced sexualization scene. She says nothing. She never tells Dustin Hoffman. At one point, like I said, she starts enjoying it. Part of me wonders if you needed the David Warner subplot. If it was just a siege movie where they want the girl and the girl wants to leave and he's like, no, you're staying here. But I guess they figured this whole keeping this guy safe even though we know he's guilty, I guess they felt they needed that. I do find the ending a bit interesting. Super spoilers, where he does win. And then there's a point where she's not sure who to shoot, and then finally shoots the right guy. And the way he kind of gets David Warner, looks back and goes, are you okay? And then when he's driving David Warner home, he's like, David Warner goes, I don't know my way home, and Dustin Hoffman says the line, I want to get it right. That's okay. I don't either. So in a way, this gateway to manlyhood will also mean that this relationship ain't gonna last. Like, they're not gonna stay married. There's no way it's gonna last. To me, I'd be like, we're divorced, baby. And just go the fuck back home to America or something. Yeah, this relationship ain't lasting. some people may argue, well, now she'll change her tune because now Dustin Hoffman has showed his manliness and his rite of passage, so to speak. He can be the man of the house, to coin a phrase. So it does go into these deeper levels if you want to go in that direction. But I do think there's other films that have done that and are also more either entertaining or faster paced, or I don't know if awkward is the right word. Like the whole Susan George thing, her liking it. I get that brings a bit of an interesting drama during the siege sequence. So like part of me understands it, because it puts Dustin Hoffman's character in an interesting predicament of, you know, even the woman, my wife, even she's kind of against me on this. And how do you write that? Okay, this is a way of writing it, but it's like, I don't know how. I mean, it makes Susan George's character, even though she went through that, just a very unlikable character. And I don't know if that was the whole. I know it was the point to make her maybe confused or discombobulated, but I don't know if it was the point to make her truly unlikable, which is what it ended up for me being. And that's the thing, like, at the end of the day, maybe it's not the movie's fault, but I've seen many other films of the home invasion type of plot structure. Is what makes the film worthwhile, at least as a time waster, is the whole finale. Dustin Hoffman's performance and the way Sam Peckinpah directs and the way it's edited and those action bits. You know, I don't hate the film, but it's not a film I really rewatch or really love either. So Straw Dogs, it's better than the remake, because James Marsden, I don't mind him as an actor, but he's no Dustin Hoffman. Sorry. And that's kind of like one of those remakes that's almost a carbon copy. So it's like, what the fuck was the point? Just to watch the Hills Have Eyes remake. That's a better remake of Straw Dogs, in my opinion. So yeah, I don't know what else to say. The music I don't remember much about. Well, that's not true. I remember certain pieces of the score not being too bad, especially during the third act. So, yeah, it wasn't a bad musical score. Like I said, I did feel it just took a bit too long for it to get going, and I do think some parts in the first half, like before the storm happens, so to speak, it feels like a decently long church sequence where the girl sees her rapist and she's freaking out, but then she doesn't say anything, she doesn't really do anything, and again, she liked one of them, so. And like I said, the David Warner stuff, I don't know if at the end of the day you really needed that stuff. Like, if you focus actually more on just Dustin Hoffman, Susan George, and the attacker, so to speak. Oh hell, it could have been as simple as the men are messing around, the cop goes, hey, you need to keep this settled. Boom, hurt the cop. He wanders off though. Dustin Hoffman finds him, brings him in. And then that would make even Susan George's, oh, who cares, you know, even more of a questionable stance where Dustin Hoffman can go, you really don't care, do you? But maybe if you do that, that would make her even more of a villain. So maybe that's why they don't do that. The fact that this is not a cop, but this is a person that they don't know. Maybe that's make her less seemingly evil, or I don't know. I'm just babbling, rambling about it. But with that said, Straw Dogs film I didn't mind for what it is, but yeah, I don't love it. Sorry. So we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.